It's like Sway in the morning, like they have like people like they had Pete Buttigieg on Sway in the morning. Like it's like KJ, that'd be a show. And they talk to him, that's your first thing.
The law offices of James F. Swindoll provides our clients the personal care and attention that larger law firms cannot offer. Our experienced attorneys have brought hundreds of cases to verdict in state.
Robert, you can have a seat. You forgot.
No, I'm gonna put send a text message.
Or a loved one have been injured or have property rights.
What left some you want to call? Come back and get it.
You said what?
If what left his face club, we don't want them to come back and get it.
Who's is that?
James.
Or email arkansas-personal-injury.com. Our law offices are centrally located at 212 Center Street in Little Rock. That's the law offices of James F. Swindoll. Personal injury and product liability.
Oh, that one doesn't work.
Which is who all across Philadelphia and Arkansas to connect with the family and in Clark County since 1966. At Mitchell Funeral Home, they understand that the funeral is a celebration of life and legacy, and the entire staff takes great pride in the caring, personal, and professional services they provide. Cremations, funeral plans, burial policies, life insurance, notary, and monument sales are just a few of the services they offer. Flexible packages are available as well. Mitchell Funeral Home appreciates the trust and confidence placed in them and will continue to enhance their services. So, as to serve you better, call now. Get connected 870-246-2611. That's 870-246-2611. Call, click, or come by. MitchellFuneralServices.com. Don't wait till you're needed. Call us now. Let's walk through 870-246-2611. It's quality completion. And
What do you want me to do?
At Mitchell Funeral.
Build your home for the holidays. Get Rock Mattress and more. Bundle and save for everyone in your home. Package deals just in time for the holidays. Our
But can I
first
get a
bundle
rain check?
starting at $598. Perfect for a door. Local deal 2, only $15.99. Enough to build your first apartment. And build your home with our third bundle starting at only $24.99. Come get these deals while they last. Special pricing going on now through the end of the year. Celebrate this holiday season with something new from Bedrock Mattress and More. 3901 South University in Little Rock.
Hi, this is Alvin from Habibi's 4317 East Broadway in North Little Rock. We still have rooms and we are very much stocked. The same great service for more life. Give us a call, 501-663-1553 or 664-2992, or call our toll-free number, 1-877-HABIBI-1. Diapers, pull-ups, hospital beds, wheelchairs, Simply Fit, diabetic supplies, underpants, and more. Your durable medical supply center.
Hey friends, Father's Day is right around the corner, and Coleman's Dynamic Products is offering a dynamic gift just for Dad. Pick 6 for Dad. Any 6 items in my product line. Coleman's Dynamic Rib Rub, Dust, Juice, Nuts, Batter, you name it, all for only $29.95 plus shipping and handling. Upgrade to Pick 10 for only $39.95. Pick 6 for Dad. You must call 615-554-0568 to get this dynamic Father's Day special. Dad and you will be glad you did. Each purchase receives a Coleman's Dynamic download.
Hey, Jackie. What's up, Ron?
Happy Father's Day for all the great fathers out there. And while you enjoy your day, don't forget to bake it, grill it, smoke it, oh yeah, with Coleman's Dynamic Product. Pick 6 or pick 10. You must call 615-554-0568 to get this dynamic Father's Day special.
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone line
lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman and Rob.
Yo, what's happening? That's how we do it.
What's up? What's up?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
What's up?
Hark!
What's up? What's up?
What thou yonders in the wind's voice we hear it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I like that. I like that.
Before we introduce that voice, we've got to. Is it too much?
No, I can't hear it. There you go.
Is that better?
There you go. There you go. I got some
Okay.
sound now. Okay.
So I was trying to. I called myself.
Yeah, you're trying to do something. I know you're trying to
Give
do
you an opening, but it didn't work the way I hoped it did. So it just. So you come back and you just screw up everything. Right? That voice you hear right there is Robert Webb. Welcome to the show, Robert Webb.
What's up? What's up?
Hey man, welcome back.
Thank you for having me back.
Well,
brother.
people have been worrying about that, so y'all don't care about me, huh? Y'all just worrying about Robert. Is that what the deal
That's
is?
what's up, y'all. Good looking out. Appreciate you.
That's all right. That's all right.
Appreciate y'all.
But yeah, he's back. No ifs, ands, or buts.
I am back. Thank you for the break,
And,
y'all. I missed y'all.
Taking care of a little business.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that he'll be back for good.
I'm good, baby. Every day. That's right.
Fantastic. So we're looking forward to that. Let's see. I still can't get my theme song. This is crazy, man. But anyway, welcome to the show. It's the Friday edition. Coming up later on, we're expecting Chris James to come to the house.
Okay.
Talk a little bit to him about what's going on, and he's moved to Atlanta. I didn't know that until about a month or so
Really?
ago.
What's he doing in Atlanta? Same thing he was doing here?
He's, from what I understand, he's having a lot of success. This could be my spine with the 8 titanium screws, or it could be that's C3 through C7, or it could be T5 through T8, which is displaced because of the surgery on the upper part of my spine, or it could be my former broken ankle, my bad knee, my hip, and lately it was my shin was giving me all kinds of problems, and I was concerned. So I decided to go to a doctor. They took a picture. There was a growth on my tibia, and you can always tell when something is serious because after they take the x-ray, they call you the next day and say, you need to go.
Right, yeah.
So that I got that call that I needed to go to an orthopedic oncologist. So that day you saw me, I was going in for the first exam. So, but fortunately, and by the way, shout out to Brother Montgomery. I say Brother Montgomery. He is the orthopedic oncologist over at UMS. He's a black guy, young brother. So I go in there, and you go into the cancer unit. The cancer unit is not a happy unit. Going to a hospital period is not happy. I know people try to keep a happy face,
Right.
but let's be real. We know what hospitals are all about, right? And considering I worked in one for a long period of time, I certainly knew. But going to the oncology unit, it has a different vibe. So it took about 10 days before I finally got my appointment to see the doctor. So I go in, and people sitting out in the waiting room, they've got these long, solemn faces, so it wasn't a happy place to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
So he calls me back, and they call me back. I sit for about 10 minutes. Brother burst in the room, happy-go-lucky. Hey, what's up, Mr. Coleman? How you doing? And I'm sitting there like, dude, I'm about to have cancer, and you coming in here like you like you Burr Rabbit or something, And he said, hey, let me tell you something right off the bat. One thing I do when I got a new patient is I go back and I research his case.
Right.
Okay? That way when I come in here, I can give you the dope right off the bat.
Right.
He said, so I'm going to give you the dope right off the bat. You don't have cancer.
Hallelujah.
And I mean, all that happened within 2 minutes of him walking through the door. Okay?
Oh, really? So that was quick. He didn't prolong it.
That was cool.
Nothing. That was cool.
He knew the deal. I mean, and he says he does all his patients that way. He said the reason they sent you over here because there is a growth on your bone.
Okay.
And this was a precautionary visit. He said, but when I went out and looked at it, it's something that occurs with a lot of people. It looks like someone had taken a pencil and just drew a shape on my bone. Okay? And it's outlined specifically like that. He said, if it had been cancer, the ends would have been jagged, which means that it was eating at the bone.
Right.
Okay? But because it was a benign growth of some sort.
So they're not going to remove it?
No, they're not going to remove it. They're going to monitor it and see what happens. But,
That's cool.
you know, he says, I would argue that you probably had that for
A couple of months.
all your life.
Oh, really? So it's been there that long? Okay.
Yeah. So, needless to say, because that afternoon I was leaving to go on my camping trip with my folks, with my friends.
Okay.
And of course, last weekend we went up to Pettigene Mountain. If you've never been, have you ever been?
Yeah, every time I hear you say that, I think about deliverance. So you enjoy yourself, my friend.
Man, Pettigene Mountain was the joint, dude. I'm an ex-Boy Scout. Look, took my gun, took my knife.
Oh, really?
Someone was gonna be delivered. It wasn't gonna be me. Okay, no, I wasn't gonna be screaming like a pig.
You had weapons. You were
You see
ready.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I wasn't gonna be screaming like a pig. Okay. Now you only know what that means if you've seen that movie. Okay.
Yeah, no squealing, huh?
But I don't think he ever lived that road down.
Yeah,
Ned Beatty.
that was a tough road to take.
Yeah, I don't think he ever lived that road down. But anyway, so we had a great time at Pettigene. And actually, here's the weird thing about it. Prior to going to the doctor, I'm concerned. My leg's hurting. Oh, man, I'm hurting. I get up to Pettigene. I'm hiking through the mountains. And I'm not having no problems with my leg, dude. Ain't that crazy?
None?
None.
Maybe it was in your head. Maybe it was in your head to begin with.
No, it's not
No,
in my head.
it wasn't in your
No,
head.
it's not
No,
in my head.
okay.
I have had some pain since I've been back, but I'm just saying
You had none there.
I had none there. It was crazy. And maybe a lot of it had to do with probably exercising more and things of that nature. But I'm telling you, if you like the outdoors, even if you don't, they've got cabins where you can go and stay. Oh, yeah, they've got.
I didn't know that. I've been up there, but I've never been up there.
Yeah, so they've got cabins where they've got kitchens in some cabins. They've got cabins that are like hotel rooms. It was pretty nice. I got to give it to them. You know, we got up early and went fishing. You know,
Good. What'd y'all catch?
caught a couple of bass. One of my caught a couple of brim.
Did I catch some catfish?
Then catching. I wasn't fishing for catfish. I was fishing for brim and bass. So. But it was a nice weekend. So anyway, that started the week off, but the weekend ended fantastic. So that was me. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump into our black facts.
Our culture, our history, our people.
So I thought it would be appropriate, and I had some other black facts lined up, but I thought it would be appropriate today to review something that happened in our history on May 31st, June 1st. 1921. Okay. Since today is May 1st. Okay.
May 31st.
Well, May 31st, yeah. And, you know, again, I want to thank everybody. It's amazing how many people are learning from these black facts. And I'm looking at you all's pages as well, and I see you all sharing black facts. This is the only way that we're going to change the mentality that we have in our community, is understand how we got here. So I really appreciate all of y'all who are doing that. This is the key. You should be talking to your kids. You should be telling your kids, you know, where your child might be in summer camp this summer. How about putting them in a Black History camp? Okay. And here's why this is important. You are the ambassador of your bloodline. Okay. You have the power to break any generational curses. So let's talk a little bit about what happened in Tulsa. None of my mostly African American 11th graders in Portland have ever heard of the so-called Tulsa race riot, even though it stands as one of the most violent episodes of dispossession in U.S. history. The term race riot does not adequately describe the events on May 31st through June 1st, 1921 in Greenwood, a black neighborhood in Tulsa, Oklahoma. By the way, those of you who are Gap Band fans, you know where the name Gap Band comes from. Notice it happened in Greenwood, Oklahoma, in Tulsa. Greenwood, Archer, and Pine are the main three streets where this riot took place. Okay? The Gap Band are from Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's where they got their name from. Okay? In fact, the term itself implies that both blacks and whites might be equally to blame for the lawlessness and violence. The historical record documents a sustained and murderous assault on black lives and property. This assault was met by a brave but unsuccessful armed defense of their community by some black World War I veterans and others. During the night and day of the riot, deputized whites killed more than 300 African Americans. They looted and burned to the ground 40 square blocks of 1,265 African American homes, including hospitals, schools, and churches, and destroyed 150 buildings and businesses. White deputies and members of the National Guard arrested and detained 6,000 black Tulsans who were released only upon being vouched for by a white employer or other white citizens. 9,000 African Americans were left homeless and lived in tents well into the winter of 1921. Like pearls on a string, we can finger the beads of violence and legal expulsions of black people from their land and the nation. The Cherokee removal and multiple wars against indigenous people, the 1846 through 48 U.S. war against Mexico, the Dawes Act, government-sanctioned attacks on Chinese throughout the West, the race riots that swept the country starting in 1919, Japanese internment, and the later use of eminent domain for urban removal. The list is long. I tell my students in the English language arts class I co-teach, I want you to think about the wealth of this country. Who has it? Who doesn't? A study by the Pew Research Center found that on average, whites have 20 times the wealth of blacks. Why is that? When there's a question that puzzles you, we must investigate. It's a non-traditional curriculum for a language arts teacher, but I aim to teach students to connect the dots about big ideas that matter in their lives, and I use both history and literature to explore injustice. This year, Tulsa was one of the instances we studied to probe the legacy of racism and wealth inequality. To stimulate students' interest in resurrecting this silenced history, I created a mystery about the night of the invasion of Greenwood. I wrote roles for students based on the work of scholars like John Hope Franklin, Scott Ellsworth, and gave them each a slice of what happened the night of the riot. There's a jumble of events they learned. The arrest of Dick Rowland, the young African-American shoe shiner who allegedly raped Sarah Page, a white elevator operator. Later, students learned that authorities dropped all charges. The newspaper article that incited whites and blacks to gather at the courthouse. The assembly of armed black World War I veterans to stop any lynching attempt. 26 black men had been lynched in Oklahoma in the previous 2 decades. The deputizing of armed whites, and many of them KKK members. The internment of blacks, the death of more than 300 African American men, women, and children, and the burning and looting of homes and businesses. Because not all white Tulsans share the racial views of white rioters, I included roles of a few whites and a recent immigrant from Mexico who provided refuge in the midst of death and chaos. I wanted students to understand that even in the moments of violence, people stood up and reached across race and class borders to help. Our students' history textbook, History Alive, is silent about the events of Tulsa, but more significantly, the book fails to help students search for patterns in our nation's history of race-based dispossession. Now, there's more to this, but I want to stop right there, because do you know what race-based dispossession is all about?
No, tell us.
Race-based dispossession is what happened to that black minister that I talked about 2 days ago that was in Mississippi who had 270 acres. And it was said that they had oil on that land, and 6 white men decided to go and kill this minister and take his land and run his family out of Mississippi. That's called race-based dispossession. As a matter of fact, it happened right here in Arkansas, in Elaine, Arkansas,
Right.
where 247 farmers who own land, who has bodies who's never been found, were murdered because white folks wanted their land. That's race-based dispossession. So when I talk to you about reparations, I got a whole list of reasons why reparations must happen. I have a whole reason why, if you are a presidential candidate, if you are a state candidate, and if you are not for reparations, then you will not get my vote. In fact, I will campaign against you because there is no reason. You heard me go through that list of dispossessions earlier in this reading. All of those people were apologized to by the American government and paid reparations, except black people. It's time for us to stop playing. It's time to either poop or get off the pot. And we are no longer going to allow this government to sit around and think that we're going to forget.
I'm with you.
And those are our black facts for today.
To Black Focus Radio for more dynamic black facts, our culture, our history, our people on JoyNetRadio.com.
And if you would like to sponsor Dynamic Black Facts, you can call me up at 615-554-0568. And remember, I have a 6-month package for you. Man, you can't beat this with a stick. I'm going to go ahead and tell you how much it is. You can advertise on JoyNet Radio right now. If you call me within the week, 615-554-0568, I'll give you advertising for 6 months or only $375. Can't beat that with a stick. All right, so we got a lot of other stuff to talk about today. Let me quickly read the teas. And today on Black Focus Radio, I offer a sliver of hope for white people who fear 2042 in the beauty of the black man. Remember our conversation about black people not swimming?
Right.
I'll share a tragic story to reinforce why you must get swimming lessons for your black children. Okay? And we also continue our trek through my book list of Enlightenment.
Okay.
So every
Okay.
Friday, I've been giving my book, I've been going over the book list that I use to
All right.
come to where I am. People say, how'd you get that crazy? I said, I read books.
That's it. That's all you,
You know,
need.
so we've been going over the book list over the last few weeks. So we'll give you 2 more books on that book list today. So that's what's on the agenda. So let me quickly jump to the swimming issue. All right, because yesterday, over the weekend, Mayor Frank Scott, and I don't know what had went on, but for some reason or another, I'm assuming based on what I read that they had decided that the Jim Daly pool was not going to be open for public use.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what I understand?
Yeah, that was going to be part of the budget. They were going to.
Okay.
It was going to be part of the budget.
No. So, in other words, kids who wanted to swim in Little Rock would not have had a place to swim.
They could have went to Thrasher. I think Thrasher and Pinnock. I think Thrasher.
Well, they've got the Billy Mitchell Boys Club over there.
Billy doesn't have a pool.
That doesn't have a pool?
Remember, we never had a pool.
The other one downtown had a pool.
Yeah, but this one doesn't.
Wow, okay.
This one doesn't.
Okay. Well, either way, the mayor decided to rescind that order over the weekend and issued hours where people can go and swim, which I thought was a great idea. Mm-hmm. So here's why this is important. Because did you know that black people, black children, are 5 times more likely to drown than white people? Mm-hmm. And did you know that the majority of those deaths occur in public pools? Mm-hmm. You get that, right?
Yeah.
So for whatever reasons, and I don't care for Charles Barkley anyway,
Right.
but Charles Barkley over the years have he has had guest appearances on Dan Patrick's show.
Yeah.
And every now and then the subject of swimming will come up. And Charles Barkley will make the outlandish statement that black people don't swim.
Reinforcing negative.
You're reinforcing negative stereotypes. And part of the reason what Charles, with his ignorance, doesn't understand is part of the reason that black people don't swim, the majority of them, is because they were ran out of swimming pools back in the 40s and the 50s, to the point where some pool owners were literally pouring acid in pools to keep black people from swimming. So just about everything we do today has vestiges in racism in America. But Charles Barkley, with his ignorance, getting on national radio, reinforcing a stereotype. But thank goodness for a couple of other people Olympic swimmers, who have launched campaigns to teach black children how to swim. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I ran across a story this morning, or I should say last night when I was prepping for the show, that was kind of heartbreaking. And I'm going to read this to you. And it basically breaks down to two black people on a lake. And it's amazing how many black people go fishing
But can't swim.
in boats, but can't swim.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me. And it's a story about a young man and his father who had went fishing. His father apparently fell out the boat. He jumped in to save his dad.
And they both drowned.
He couldn't swim.
Who, the son or the dad?
The son. He ends up drowning. Okay? He ends up drowning. So that reinforced my point yesterday. Now, let me just tell you, right now, if you call Jim Daly, they got swimming lessons going on.
Yeah.
You might want to think about sending your child over there to learn how to swim.
Yeah. Well, I learned how to swim the cheapest way you can.
How'd you learn?
My dad just threw me in the
Just
pool.
threw you in? I've heard those stories. Okay.
Threw me right in the middle in the deep end and said, "Get out."
I've heard those
That
stories.
was it. That's how I learned how to swim. That was it.
Well, me, growing up in the Boy Scouts and going to camps, I learned at War Memorial. I told the story. People don't understand what's at War Memorial today. That pool is nothing like what it was when I was growing up. It had a baby pool.
Yeah, it had the baby pool.
It had 3 feet,
And it went
and
down.
4 feet.
Yeah.
In the middle of the 3 feet was an island.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you had a rope where it was actually a red
Yeah. That
fence.
little buoy thing.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
And over across the rope was 5, 7, and 9 feet.
Yeah.
And then you had another rope, and across that rope was 12 feet.
I don't remember that.
Oh yeah. And
I remember the 12 feet.
on either end of the 12 feet, they had a 1 meter board. They had a 3 meter board, a 2 meter board, a 3 meter board, a 5 meter board, and an 8 meter board.
They redid that when I was coming. I remember all that except I remember the meter boards, but we didn't have the 3, the 5, and the island when I was going. We didn't have that. We didn't have the 3, 5, and the island.
Wow.
We had everything else.
So I learned to swim every summer. The Red Cross would do swimming lessons at War Memorial.
Yeah.
And every summer I would go, and they start you off in the baby pool. If you don't know anything about swimming, they'd start you off in the baby pool, and you work stations around the pool, learning how to swim all the way around until you get to the 12 feet, where you're now taking lifeguard courses, where you, in order to pass the course, you jump in the water with your clothes on. You have to disrobe, throw your pants over your head, get air in it, and float on your pants.
Really?
Oh boy, I'm a bad boy. I'm a bad boy now. Don't play with me, okay? But my point being is that swimming lessons are going on right now. Right now. All you got to do is go over there and sign up. As a matter of fact, you can get online right now and sign your children up for swimming lessons. There is no excuse why black kids don't swim. Swimming is fun. It's fantastic.
It is fun.
Okay? So, hey, just do it. Okay? Just
get in
do
there
it.
and get it done right.
This is one of the things. This is a way of life that you can involve your children in. It's recreational. And here's the other thing. It keeps you in shape. Y'all remember last year when I lost about 25 pounds? You know what I was doing? Because I told you it's hard for me to walk or run on my leg.
Yeah, you were swimming, right?
I was swimming every day. I'm telling you, I was in the best of shape. In fact, I'm getting ready to do it again. I'm going to be a fine black man. Don't hate, just participate. 855-525-5683 is the number. A couple of other things that we want to talk about today as well. Woo, but that's a pretty black woman I posted on my page. Let's see here. Let's see. I'm going to save that for a little bit. Okay. We got Chris James coming in. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about this. So I said I'm going to offer a sliver of hope for white people who fear 2042. Okay.
So the fear's real is what you're saying?
Oh, it's definitely real. In fact, I played a piece the other day from MSNBC where they went full bore on the fear.
Really?
White people now are really beginning to embrace this. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, I played Dr. Frances Cress Welsing and 6 minutes of her appearance on Donahue.
Okay.
When she first started talking about 2042 and the blackening of America and how white people would lose their minds as what they're doing. This whole thing about abortion is about 2042. This whole thing about immigration is about 2042. They are afraid that in 2042, once they officially become minorities, that guess what'll happen? They'll get treated the way they treat us. Okay? But I want to offer a sliver of hope for you, white people.
Really? I didn't know that. See, yeah, you educate.
Okay? I want to offer a sliver of hope for you. Okay? Because, see, part of the reason I think, in doing the history and the study that I've done, is part of the reason that the black man was so easily conquered, so easily swayed by white colonizers,
Okay.
is because of his heart.
Yeah, I got that. I get that.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The black man understood his evolution.
You want to turn the other cheek too often.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The black man understood that, hey, we are the progenitors of mankind. So it is our job to watch over
Right.
the Creator's creations. Okay?
Okay.
This was long before God came along, or Jesus.
Okay.
All right? So when the white man walks into Africa, although different in look, Africans looked at him as still a creation of the Almighty.
Right.
Not understanding that those people were there for deleterious means.
Right.
You understand that, right?
Yeah, I get that.
So I think that's how, and just based on my research, how Africans were conquered. Because you think, and even more so, during the 400 years of slavery, people don't realize that black people outnumbered white people in the South.
That's why they were welcoming all the people from all of the countries.
Exactly. So why is it that black people didn't attack, didn't defend themselves? I think it's in our human nature to love first and kill second. As the black man, I'm just going by my history. I'm just going by the research that I've done. Okay.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So when you look at it from that standpoint,
It makes sense.
it makes all the sense in the world. So I posted an article a few days ago about two Africans who was running. One African collapsed.
Okay.
The other African was winning the race.
But he stopped and went back.
He stopped and went back and helped his fellow African. So what I'm saying to white people is, that's your sliver of hope.
Oh, okay.
You get that, right?
Yeah, the compassion of black
The compassion of black people.
But you got to remember, black people won't be the majority. It'll be Hispanics.
I understand that.
So
I understand that. I
don't think Hispanics have the same compassion that we have.
Well, but again, the Hispanics who are pushing a white agenda may not. You understand what I'm saying, right?
But again,
Because
I honestly believe. I mean, I know it's gonna sound crazy to you, but I honestly believe even if the minority becomes blacks and Hispanics become the majority, I still think that blacks would be the minority, regardless.
I agree.
The view of Hispanics toward blacks is the same as the view of whites toward blacks.
I agree.
So
You're
I don't think
you're segueing right into
I
where
don't
I'm
think
going.
we'll have any. I don't think there'll be this huge partnership because again, you got to remember we're outnumbered. We're outnumbered by Hispanics by 3 million. So it's like 13 million to 16 million. Last count. So
Right.
I don't think
So,
we're close.
and you make an excellent point because the argument that I've been trying to make to black people all across this world, every time I do this show, is that white supremacy has dominated the world. Okay? And if you understand that Mexico just counted its black Mexicans a year ago. In fact, Mexico didn't even acknowledge that there were black Mexicans. All right? I also posted a picture on my wall of black Indians, you know, the Asia Indians. Beautiful black women who were from India. They were just black, black as the night. So white supremacy has infected this entire world. Now, that attitude about minorities, it needs to permeate throughout the world because, you know, white people are only 1/4 the nation of color.
Right.
Black people are 3/4. So what black people have got to start, and as I've said before on this show, I don't look at myself, I don't even refer to myself as a minority.
Yeah.
Think about that. Because see, I look at myself from a world point of view. So when you look at yourself, and this is what Malcolm was trying to tell people, when you look at yourself from a world point of view, you won't be fighting for civil rights. You'll go to the United Nations and demand human rights.
Yeah.
Okay? So when I think of myself from a world point of view. I'm a majority. Because 3/4 of this world is a people of color. So why would I refer to that psychological label, dysfunction that America has put on black people to say you're minorities, affects you psychologically in everything you do. So we've got to change that. But the point being is that and here's another example. Number of Brazilians defining themselves as black has increased by 32% in just the last 6 years. So what you're beginning to see is an evolution of black thought around the world. And it's scaring the hell out of white people. It's scaring them to
I
death.
don't believe they're scared.
Well, let me give you another example. There are places in Africa. Zimbabwe at one point had taken all the land that white settlers stole decades ago and given it back to black people. It's happening in South Africa. It's happening in Ethiopia. It's happening all across Africa. That movement that Ghana has now that's saying, come home, black people.
Yeah.
That's what this is all about. There's a revolutionary of thought that is going on in black people around the world who are beginning to claim their place. What's going on in America? Black people still hadn't gotten it. I'm just saying.
It's more profitable for black people not to get it. We both know that.
Unfortunately.
We both know that.
855-525-5683 is the number. But I just wanted to offer a little hope for white people who are afraid of 2042 because you can't stop 2042. You know, when I'm telling black women of childbearing age, y'all have many babies as y'all want. Okay? Have all them babies. What? You got 10, girl, gone. Have all them babies.
Yeah.
Scare the hell out of white people.
Yeah.
Because they're scared.
Yeah.
And the fact that MSNBC did a full story on it, they're scared.
Yeah.
They're scared.
Correct myself. It's 18% to 13%.
Okay.
So my bad.
One other quick note, and then we're going to get Chris James in there. We're looking forward to talking to him. I got a lot of questions to ask him. Couple of things.
Okay.
And I'd like to get your comments on this. So a couple of days ago, there was this post that came across Facebook about this brother, 18 years old,
Okay.
who had slept with a 14-year-old girl.
Okay.
All right. He videotaped the encounter, and then he sent the videotape to all of his friends in high school. Okay?
Oh, jeez.
He ended up getting prosecuted. He got a suspended sentence. He should have served 3 to 5 years. He got 6 months in a juvenile facility, nonviolent facility. He has to register as a sex offender for 25 years. Okay? Was that too harsh?
For an 18-year-old and a 14-year-old? If she's my daughter, I say no. If he's my son, I say yes.
Okay.
I think as a 18-year-old, man, I mean, 18 and 14, to me, it's not that far off. I mean, you got to remember, the guys in high school, the girl's he's probably a senior graduating. She's probably a sophomore, going, either
she's
sophomore,
probably a freshman.
Either a freshman or going to be a sophomore, right? So, I don't know, man. I don't see that. I don't see that as. I see that as that's a bit of overkill. Now, I understand what he did was really stupid. I mean, the whole thing about videoing it and then passing it out to your friends, really stupid, right? But I don't think being a sex offender for 25 years, I think that's a bit much.
Well, I disagree. I think he got exactly what he deserved.
Well, again, you have daughters, I have boys.
Okay.
So,
I think he got exactly what he deserves. And here's why. Number one, he's 18, she's 14.
But just because he's 18,
wait a minute.
doesn't mean he's mature.
But you have to understand the law. They'll tell you all the time, ignorance of the law is no excuse. He's
true.
18,
That's
she's
true.
14. That's statutory rape. Okay?
Yeah.
This happened in Ohio. So the age of consent, and I went and looked it up, is 16. So she was 2 years short of the age of consent.
So let me ask you a question, Dave. You've never, well,
No.
when you were younger, you never got with a chick who was younger?
No, I wanted the older women. Sorry.
Okay.
I just did. I'm being honest.
Okay. I get you.
Okay?
I get that.
So here's the point. All right. Statutory rape first and foremost.
Okay, but
He then records her,
I understand all that.
unbeknownst to her,
Right.
and he sends it. Hit that red button down there. And he sends it across the internet. You know what that certainly was? That was trafficking child pornography.
Right.
All right.
So let me ask
So
you-
you know they don't play with
I
when
get
it comes
that.
to the child
But
pornography
Dave,
side,
it's
right?
an 18-year-old boy. Now, let's think back to when we were 18 and think about all the stupid things we did at 18. Thank God that all the stupid things.
Thank God they didn't have Twitter and Facebook back then.
Not only that, though, thank God that I was not 18 and I had to have something hanging over my head for 25 years than I did when I was 18. I mean, you got kids now who between 15 and 18 who are in prison serving life sentences for things that they did between 15 and 18. That is crazy. Because,
Right.
hey, everybody grows up. Everybody matures.
I agree.
I wasn't very mature at 18.
Okay, now let me stop you.
Yeah.
If that was your daughter, would you have that same?
I told you, I'd probably feel differently if that was my
Exactly.
daughter. But again,
So the mother of the daughter is the one who had to prosecute.
understandable.
Okay?
I understand.
So people are hating on the mother. Wait a minute, and the one point I made on that post was, what would you do if it was your daughter?
No, I agree. I would want him
Because
to be,
that girl will never live that
I
down.
would want him to be prosecuted. I would want him to be prosecuted, right? I would definitely want him to be prosecuted. But again, in this situation, they're both kids and they're both immature.
Okay, at
right?
18, you can go to war and die for your country.
Yeah, but still doesn't mean you're mature at 18. Come on, Dave. I mean, we did some things that were really stupid at 18.
I never did stupid
We did-
stuff at 18.
Yeah, of course you did. We did some really immature stuff at 21.
Okay.
My point is why I understand your point completely, and I agree that the young lady should have never been recorded, and he should have never sent it out to his friends. But again, we've done dumb things. I don't think the kid should have this sexual predator thing hanging over his head for 25 years. I don't agree.
I think the 25 years is a
I
little
think everything else is cool. I think everything else he was charged with is cool.
Because he could have been 3 to 5 in a hard time.
In maximum, in some maximum security prison. I get that. But the thing that troubles me is that the sex offender thing. I mean, the kid is 18, true enough, but he's not. He's still an immature kid. I mean, because
Do you know what the
immature kid would have done what he did?
Do you know what the initials JB stands for? When you were growing up, what did the initials JB stand for?
Man,
I'm sure you grew up in the same area as I
I
did.
know.
And
I can't remember
know.
now. I know what JB stands for.
Jail.
Yeah, jail
bait.
bait. That's right.
Okay.
I forgot that. Yeah.
So a lot of these young brothers who are of age are pursuing young girls because they're innocent and easy. Okay.
Now, then that's a conversation for a parent.
I agree.
That's a conversation
So
for a parent.
his
If
parent,
your daughter's easy.
or him, or his parent. By the way, he had a single dad. Look, his parents should have sat down and say, "Man, that girl too young for you. Stay away from them young girls. You're gonna get yourself caught up." Yada yada yada. But apparently, nobody was having a conversation.
I don't think this would have been an issue had he not videoed it and sent it out to his boy.
I agree.
I don't think this would have been an issue.
I agree.
And I mean, I'm still, like I said, I think the punishment to some degree was fair. But when you start talking about the sexual predator, that's problematic for me.
Yeah, I hear you. One other quick point. I said yesterday that your boo ain't your babysitter. Okay? Your boo ain't your babysitter. Now, I was... and here's why I brought that up. I am tired of reading these stories of boyfriends or girlfriends killing children of their significant others. And there have been a couple over the last couple of weeks that were horrific. And then, of course, there are those black feminists out there who started claiming, oh, there's something wrong with men. Well, Desha Ringo, woman pleads guilty for strangling boyfriend's toddler daughter. Let me just say this again. Your boo ain't your babysitter. Period. You know what you could probably do? Maybe you can make amends to that father and say, hey, look, could you babysit baby girl or baby boy tonight? And then you can go do the horizontal boogaloo all you want. But when you start introducing strangers into your house with your children, you don't know that person. And some of these people they meet a person. 2 weeks later, hey, here's my child. Oh, hell no, you're not meeting my child.
Yeah.
You know, I've told you this before. If you offer my kids $1 million right now, they could not give you one name of a woman I dated while they were growing up. My son and I, when we went to Hawaii, laughed about this.
My boys could probably not win that. They would actually win that million really quickly.
But my point being is that we're too quick to allow strangers into the lives of our children.
That's true.
You know, without really testing them to see if they are
more so women than men.
More so women than men. So I'm just saying. So your boo ain't your babysitter. Hey, Chris, come on in, man. So we're gonna take a quick break. We'll get Chris set up, and we'll come back here in just a moment. You're listening to Black Focus Radio. We're glad to have Robert Well back on JoinNetRadio.com.
Yeah, I came on our show once.
That's what we do on Black Focus, bro.
I see, man.
That's what we do. Welcome to the show.
Man, thank you.
That's why it's called Black Focus.
I see. So was it a black woman that did this?
Yes.
With a black girl?
Yes.
That's why the penalty wasn't
Yeah. Yeah. Now, you remember the white girl that the boy they can't claim he raped her. He never raped her at all. But they ended up giving him like 15 years.
Right. That's why I say you knew it was a black girl. They got juvenile.
Don't forget to bake it, drill it, smoke it.
He got 6 months in a juvenile detention center.
Yeah, but the other guy, the one in Alabama, he got
Father's Day special.
He got like 15
years. And he actually did 2 years.
This is attorney Danielle Walker from the Walker Law Firm. Are you drowning in
You're gonna be on that mic right there.
Are you struggling to make ends meet? It might be time to consider bankruptcy options. Call me at 501-374-1448 and let me provide you with the professional legal guidance and help protect you from foreclosure, harassing bill collectors, repossession, wage garnishments, and more. I have a proven record of serving clients just like you for over over 20 years. I'm conveniently located downtown Little Rock at 323 Center Street, Suite 1020. Call today for a free, no obligation consultation at 501-374-1448, 501-374-1448, 501-374-1448. This is attorney Danielle Walker from the Walker Law Firm, and let me help you.
Mitchell Funeral Home welcomes all of Arkadelphia and Arkansas in Clark County.
So,
1966.
I'm gonna read this. A friend of mine who was a social worker.
Understand that the funeral is a
This you might know. You know Sylvester Dunbar? Sylvester Dunbar.
Yeah.
We grew up together. So here's what he says. He said, registered as a sex offender for statutory rape. It wasn't harsh enough. Distribution of pornography and other charges. The 18-year-old should have known better. And that's the point. And this is from someone who has seen that stuff up close and personal. You know, so.
But again, I mean, I don't want to have something hanging over my head for something I did at 18.
I agree.
Because we do a bunch of dumb shit from 15 to 18.
True.
Actually, from 15 to 21.
True.
And if we all got caught for it, that'd be nothing we could do.
Right.
Because we've done a lot of dumb shit.
But he facilitated his capture by sending that stuff over the internet.
Again, I mean, ignorance. Again, ignorance is not an excuse. Again, but like I said, I wouldn't want to be penalized for something I did at 18. I mean, I can think of a lot of shit I did between 15 and 18. Even shit, honestly, between 15 and 28. Right? That was just stupid.
Yeah, you really don't. The shit don't really click until you get about 28, 29. You like,
You're like, damn, that's dumb as hell.
you know,
right?
you like, oh,
And luckily,
Okay.
you don't get caught. If you're lucky, you don't get caught. But if you aren't lucky, you get caught, right?
Yeah.
I mean, again,
Well, it just depends on the degree, on what you do.
you got kids who are 15 years old, who are between 15 and 18, serving time right now in correctional facilities because they were involved in something that was so fucking dumb that if they could just take that 3 seconds back, they would have done it, right? But again, I think it's truly unfair to punish a kid at 15. Punish a kid at 15 as an adult for something, because at 15 you don't even think like an adult.
So let me ask you a question then. Could it be that had this young man been taught better, he would not have made that mistake?
But think about it. I like to think we all had strong foundations. We had strong family members, strong support systems, right? So if we had strong support systems, right, we still made these dumbass choices. And it had nothing to do with anything else.
I didn't make any dumb choices.
Of course you did. You'd never admit it, right, Chris? You never admit it. But that's my point. I mean, we make these dumb, not making excuses for them, but the problem for me is, and always has been, is that we are punished for our mistakes far more harshly than white people are punished for theirs.
I agree with that, and I'll tell you why. That's why we ought to be teaching our children better.
We have to.
Okay. All right, welcome back to the show. I mean, man, you all on Facebook and YouTube, y'all got a little bit of the real deal Holyfield in the break, and that's what I love about that. So we are talking about the situation that is going on, that went on with the young man who ended up making a stupid mistake. And again, I'm a parent. I'm a parent of a daughter.
Yeah.
You do my daughter like that, I hope they throw the book at your ass.
I get that.
I don't feel sorry for you.
But again, you have some of the responsibility as a father to not let your daughter be out there doing that kind of thing.
Well,
because honestly, at 14, we would like to think that our 14-year-old daughters are not doing that. That's why I'm really kind of thankful I had all boys.
Yeah, but
I'm kind of thankful for that. But I'm not.
In this day and time, the way these young girls are, you can't think that. I'm being honest. They are worse than the boys. I'm gonna be honest with you. But here's the other thing. We know that young girls, young teen girls, love older guys. We know that.
Yeah.
Okay? So she could have been one of those young girls who was caught up in the glow of an older guy likes her. You see, that's why it's incumbent upon that older guy to say, no, you jailbait. I'm just saying, I
don't disagree. No,
but
you know, when we were in school, when we were in high school, there were several guys who went out with younger girls, who dated younger girls when we were in high school. I mean, that that was, to some degree, that was the norm for some girls. There was some guy 21
Yeah.
dating a 16-year-old.
I know.
You know?
And he should have been put in jail.
That's tough.
You 21 and you dating a 16-year-old.
But you know what?
I know it happened.
Just because you're 21 doesn't mean
I know.
your maturation
I know.
process is 21.
I know.
Right?
Or you know that she's 16 and she easy. You can manipulate her. Yeah, a 21-year-old girl gonna give you heck. It ain't gonna be that easy.
Well, let me tell you what's crazy. Let me tell you what's crazy though. So when I'm 21 and you're 16, so I have cousins now that I hang out with, but I wouldn't hang out with them back in the day,
Right.
Because back in the day, between 21 and 16, that's a huge
That's
gap.
a huge gap.
Right.
Yeah, it's
But
a huge gap.
When you talk about 30 and 25,
And that's a difference.
not so huge, right? So that's my point.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, if you 30 and she 25, I mean, hey, that's good. But anyway, all right, let's get Chris James in there. 855-525-5683 is the number. It's called Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. I just went ahead and played the top of the hour stuff that way because I knew we were going to blow by the top of the hour, and I wanted to make sure I got that in here. So Chris James is in with us. I met Chris James. I bumped into him while we were over at KABF and learned about the House of Art.
Okay.
Had opportunities every now and then to go over to the House of Art. Me, someone who has traveled this country, traveled a lot, seeing that reminded me a lot of my brother, who was an artist who helped start the African American Cultural Arts Center in San Francisco, California. And I think the world of black art and certainly what you were doing. But here's why I'm upset. I found out that you've moved to Atlanta.
Okay.
So
Why you
what?
upset?
Because we need
What's up with that,
that. We need you in Little Rock, brother.
100% of the time.
Exactly.
So Chris, why the transition?
But why the transition?
Well, first off, I'm still here, maybe 50% of the time.
And you still have the House of Art.
Yeah, so all the work that I was doing before I got a house in Atlanta, I'm still doing the work.
Oh man, you done bought a house in Atlanta?
It's real. He made a point.
So I'm still doing the same work. The House of Art still exists. You can still come and do poetry there every Friday night. Any local artist in the city can still come to the House of Art and do an event. I'm still teaching poetry workshops and theater workshops in schools all around the state of Arkansas. I'm still feeding the homeless on Saturdays at the House of Art. All my team is. I've done more in Arkansas in the last 2 years that I've been living in Atlanta than I've done, when I was here. So the work is still happening. Now I got a team that's helping make things happen. But to answer the question, I moved to Atlanta just to have access to more resources, to have access to more people that can help take these projects that I'm producing to a higher height. In Arkansas, when I do a stage play like Dear Black People, I may have 400 people at Mosaic Templars at my show. It may be a superintendent of a school district. It may be, you. It may be you. It may be some very influential people for what they're influential with. But in Atlanta, I may have 50 people in the audience, and one of them may be Tyler Perry's cousin, or it could be the assistant of Bobcat Studios, or someone who has access to money that they're waiting to invest into the arts. And I've experienced that, in Atlanta. I had my last play there, Dear Black People, March 1st to the 3rd of 2019. And one of my shows, there was probably about 20 people in the audience. And at that show, we had a lady from, she's the psychologist from the shows that we watch when they're reenacting the murders that happened.
Right, yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, and we've had other celebrities too, that have come to our shows. But it's just so much access to people at every degree.
Just got greater access
in Atlanta, and there's no people aren't stingy, with information or with resources. Like I went to
When you say people, do you mean black people?
Black people. It's weird to even see anybody that's not black in Atlanta, because Atlanta is so black. So it's like you see a white person, oh shit, what's black here?
Where'd they come from, right?
Yeah,
all you gotta do is go outside of 285 and you'll see plenty of them.
In Atlanta, man, it's just so black and beautiful. But yeah, man, it's just so much love there, man. Again, I moved there July 2017, and I've gained a lot of friends and dope people. and it's amazing, man. I love it.
So let me ask you: does it frustrate you? I moved away from Little Rock in '85, I believe.
Uh-huh.
And I say I moved away to search for my fame and fortune. I felt like that had I stayed here in Little Rock, I would not have gotten the success that I have.
Yeah.
A dear friend of mine, Dr. Rosie Milligan, says sometimes you have to go away to be appreciated.
Yeah.
Does it frustrate you that you had to go away from the city that you grew up in? You've done so much great work here in order to get that type of success?
Nah, man. To be honest, not for me. It doesn't frustrate me because I've been traveling the country. Leaving, and driving 6 hours away or 10 hours away to go perform at a book festival or to go set up at the Louisiana Book Festival or to go to the New York City Poetry Festival. So I was traveling even before I left here. I only left here and moved and got a place in Atlanta just so I can be there Monday through Friday and not just be a weekend gig type of thing.
Right.
So I can go to the open mic on Monday and Tuesday and not have to worry about hurrying up and get back to Little Rock. So it doesn't frustrate me, but also I feel like I had a great level of success in the arts before I left Arkansas too. But I will say this: when I left Arkansas, it did increase my value a lot. It seemed like so I teach workshops in schools across the state. Man, it was like the amount of gigs doubled when I moved to Atlanta, and I doubled my price, and nobody complained about it. So it did bring a level of I don't know. It increased the value, but also it increased my value because. Number one, at first you can see Chris James anytime at the House of Art every single Friday. Whatever, I can see him anywhere. Right. Now it's like, he in Atlanta now, he coming back. All right, let's go kick it with Chris James at the show he putting on now because he back for a little minute. So it does increase the value. But also for me as an artist, I'm a sensitive person. I'm creative. In order for me to create, I have to always be inspired. So there was a point in time, 2 years ago, where 2 or 3 years ago, really. Before I moved, where I wasn't as inspired to create dope work, or I just didn't have the drive to create the level of work that I know I could and can, because it just wasn't nothing in Arkansas or Little Rock was really pushing me to do that. But moving to Atlanta and spending a lot of time in New Orleans over the last few years did give me a lot of inspiration to create my dopeness. So more than anything, that's what the Atlanta move has done for me. But again, I'm not frustrated that I had to move because I didn't have to move. I could still make my living here as an artist because I
made connections in other places.
Yeah, I've made connections in other places, so I can live here. I can, and still make a lot of money in other places as an artist, and still have connections here and there because I figured it out how it works for me as an artist.
Okay, tell me this, Chris. So give me a little bit of your background. Tell me a little bit about how you got started, and just give me a little bit of your background.
Okay. What's up, Facebook? Everybody tuning in. So how I got started, man. So so I started out. I put on. First off, I'm always about this. I actually taught at a workshop a couple weeks at a conference. Not taught, but spoke at a conference a couple weeks ago. The Read, Write, Share conference. Right here in Little Rock. And the name of my topic was Create, Don't Wait. So it started right there for me. In 2008, I graduated from high school. That year was the first time I actually performed one of my poems to an audience. At my high school, we had a poetry night. It was dope.
What high school?
North Little Rock, 08.
Okay. All right.
The best.
Too bad.
Oh,
man. Hell to the old go, baby. We'll let you stay, though, Chris. We'll let you stay, Chris.
There's only one high school in Little Rock, man. Come on.
What's that?
Little Rock Central.
Okay.
There's only one high school in the state of Arkansas.
I know it's your show, but take a nap for a moment. Take a nap. North Little Rock all day. Oh, wait. So it started there, man. So I wanted to perform.
Okay.
And I went to a couple of shows, man, signed up. And it was there when doors opened. It still didn't get on the list for some reason because it seemed that it was this political thing going on, a favoritism thing.
Right.
Your homeboy come in, you'll bump them to the top of the list. And it was the same thing in Atlanta when I first got there too. When I went to some of the bigger poetry venues like Apache Cafe, which months later I was hired to be one of the main hosts of that spot. When I kept getting bumped down to the bottom of the list. So they eventually hired me to be one of their hosts. Which was dope. So anyway, so in 2010, I said, you know what, I'm tired of not getting the platform that I want to go share my poetry because I'm not, I wasn't the dopest back then. I'm still not the dopest. But nobody knew me in 2009 and 10 here in Little Rock on the poetry scene. So I said, I'm not gonna wait. I'm gonna create. So in January 2010, I hooked up with Teresa Baker. She used to be the promoter for Studio Indigo on University and 12th Street. I borrowed some money from my uncle Melvin Tenner. I rented that spot out, put on my own show, and that right there in 2010 kind of created the platform, created my journey in the poetry community. And from then, I just started putting on shows, man. 2012, I started a newspaper called The Essence of Blackness. It was a super black newspaper. It was all about that was the time of my life when I was extreme with my wokeness and with my pro-blackness. And I had that black newspaper. I had all black advertisers in it. I printed 3,000 issues a month. We sold them in front of Kroger's and at Walmart. Anywhere we could go. We was on the corner where the Muslims were. I feel like we were outselling them, but maybe not. We was hustling. And I had about 5 black males that worked for me. And they got out and sold newspapers every day for $1. They kept 75% of whatever they sold, and I took 25% that went back towards printing and all that good stuff. But it was a dope newspaper. From that, I stopped doing the newspaper, and I published I wrote my first stage play, The Odds Against Us, because I realized I didn't just want to be a poet who shared poetry on the mic. I saw Ntozake Shange's play for colored girls who considered suicide when the rainbow wasn't enough. I saw that play was a series of 21 poems put into a theatrical performance. So I took my poems and I turned them into a stage play, The Odds Against Us, and that began my career as a playwright and not just a poet. I took that play in 2013. In 2014, I made that play into a book, and that began my journey as an author. And went from there, man. So that's kind of where the journey began. And then things just started happening. Things started blowing up. Also around 2013, that's when I started a program called My Art Is, where I was going to schools, teaching workshops and teaching poetry, doing it for free because I was passionate about it. And, in years, fast forward years later, I'm still teaching workshops in schools. But now, I'm making thousands of dollars just to show up for a few days, doing what I was doing for free back in 2013. Again, I love it. I wouldn't do it for free no more because now I know they got budgets.
Now you know the game,
you
right?
could have been paying me. You could have been paying me the whole time. Okay. So that's where the journey began for me, man. And now the Chris James journey has went from just being an open mic poet in 2010 to now owning one of the top poetry venues in the state of Arkansas, the former owner of the Essence of Blackness newspaper, being the author of one of the top children's books in the world right now, Joe Got Flow, which everybody need to copy that before I go. To being on the front cover of the Arkansas Times newspaper, to being a TED Talk speaker, to being a playwright of Dear Black People, The Odds Against Us, A Love Like This, plays that have traveled the country, but also now transitioning from a playwright to now a filmmaker. So I've produced 2 films so far this year, and it's more to come. So that's the background of the Chris James journey, and just to give y'all a hot, that's where it is, man.
So you started as a poet.
Started as a poet.
Spoken word has been around. As a matter of fact, the last poets are celebrating a birthday I posted day before yesterday. There are a lot of people out here doing spoken word.
Yeah.
And there are very few who are able to turn it, to monetize it.
To monetize it, yeah.
Okay.
But Chris is figuring out how to monetize it.
Those who are listening, and you talked about your evolution, and I'm glad you did, because you're not just a spoken word artist.
Exactly.
Okay? You evolved, but I find that many, and I'm hoping that these people are listening.
Yeah.
Many of these people are so set on being a spoken word artist that they refuse evolution.
Yeah.
Well,
And
I
they're
think-
almost starving.
I think Chris made some very good points, though. So I don't think you can evolve in something like that if you stay in Little Rock. Because Little Rock doesn't offer you the same opportunities that Atlanta, New Orleans. I mean, being in Little Rock, your view is limited of what you see, right? Traveling the country and seeing different venues, seeing different platforms and how people go about monetizing different things, I think that helped Chris more than anything else. Had he stayed in Little Rock and just tried to do everything with the lens of Little Rock, I don't think we had the same Chris James.
Okay.
Because, I mean, that was a very conscious choice to say, hey, you know what? I need to transition to Atlanta. But again, that's all about being able to, to make those choices and
So
move
what
around.
would you say to those young people who are out there at the beginning stages? Dope rhymes, they can spit all afternoon, but they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
But number one, I want to say I agree with your statement because if I hadn't traveled the country, not
Right.
just moving to Atlanta, but if I hadn't started traveling
Before then, you would have never moved.
I wouldn't have been the same Chris James.
Right,
Because number
right.
one, what changes lives for little black boys like me who came from the ghetto, who was raised by Justice moms with two brothers in prison right now for 25 and 40 years, what changed my life was being exposed to something
Other
outside
than-
of my community.
Right on,
Right?
right on.
So again, back in 2009 and 10 is when a mentor showed me that it was possible to make a living off of poetry. So I kind of saw that, so exposure, like right
Right.
now, if it's a kid in the ghetto, take him to a stage play,
Yeah.
take him to the Mosaic Temples or to a museum anywhere in the country. Because that exposure changed lives.
Right,
Take them to it's grown folks who stay in the hood right now who've never been to a Golden Corral and sat in a restaurant. I've been served and waited on. Right? So that exposure, those little things can change your life. My wife talks about that. A mentor took her to a restaurant and it was like that was one of the things that changed her life. So I just want to say that to that point. You wouldn't have the same Chris James if I hadn't been exposed to something more than what my lens view is showing me, but what I would say to an artist, any artist, whether you're a poet, a visual artist, a rapper, or whatever, is to get out of your own way, and to definitely travel. Travel the country, because traveling the country is going to it's gonna expand your horizon as a creative and as an artist. Right? So travel, travel a whole lot and meet a whole lot of different types of artists, because it's going to challenge you to grow, because the people in your circle right now, in your own community, may not be pushing you to grow as an artist. So travel a lot, man. Don't be afraid to evolve, because that's what happened for me. I evolved as an artist. I realized that, like right now, maybe a lot of spoken word artists, and it may be your goal to be the best spoken word artist in your city. All right, but challenge yourself to be the best spoken word artist in the country.
Right.
It was nothing for me. A lot of So when I moved years ago, 2 years ago, a lot of people would mention spoken word. They were like, "Oh, you trying to do poetry? Man, hit up Chris James." So it was nothing for me. Like it was cool at one moment, to be thought of as the first poet to come to mind when it came to poetry in Arkansas.
Right.
That's cool. Right? It's nothing to be the best poet in Arkansas or to be amongst the best poets in Arkansas, but it's a whole other thing if you amongst the best poets in New York City, or
Right.
Atlanta,
It's a whole nother level, or LA.
in London, or in LA.
Yeah.
So aspire to be not just great in your own circle, but be great in other circles as well. So so that's what I would challenge artists to do. And the only way people gonna know you is if you get out there and show them who you are. So people always say it ain't about what you know, it's who you know. Nah, it ain't about who you know, it's about who know you. Because I know who P. Diddy is, I know who Jay-Z is, I know who Oprah is, but it's nothing if they don't know me.
Right.
So that's what I challenge artists out there to do, to get out to the world so people can know you. If you drop your book or you drop your rap album, like, it means nothing if you don't push it outside of your circle of 5,000 Facebook friends.
Yeah.
You got to push it
I'm glad
somewhere
you
else.
said that.
So that's my word, to any artist out there, man. Right, especially if you're a Little Rock.
I'm glad you said that about Facebook, because as a radio person, as an advertiser, as a person who has products as well, I always tell my friends who have businesses on Facebook is that you are advertising to a captive audience.
Yeah.
If you're not growing your business, then you're not growing.
Yeah.
But they said, well, I've got plenty of people on my Facebook page. That's not good enough.
Not enough.
And I'm glad you said that, which segues into the business aspect. Because I heard you say something. You said you're making money.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of these guys out here, and this is just not spoken word artists.
Yeah.
A lot of these people don't understand the concept of making money for their wares.
Yeah.
Whether it's spoken word,
Right.
whether it's selling widgets and widgets, they don't understand that. Could you kind of encapsulate why that's important? Because you're actually, although you do all those wonderful things, but the bottom line is you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah, he's making money. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Man, I tell people all the time, man. So I call myself a life coach, but more so a creative career coach. I work with entrepreneurs or anybody who's creative, and I try to help them. I work to help them to monetize their art. So I tell anybody, man, you are a product, right? So the Chris James journey is my brand. That's who I am. I walk that, I live that, and that's what it's about. A lot of times I go on interviews, man, on radio interviews, and I tell folks, certain things I don't want to talk about because they ain't a part of my brand. My brand is the arts, it's creativity,
Right.
it's my community. So no, I don't want to necessarily talk about, I ain't going on the interview to talk about sex. That's not my brand, right? So it's important for artists to, to have those products, man, because all those things connect to your brand. Like you always see Chris James with a Love and Poetry shirt, or a Poetry and Chill shirt, or a book, or a product.
But you're promoting yourself,
Yeah,
though, right?
I'm always promoting myself, and whatever I put out to the world, I make it. It's my goal to connect it back to who I am and what I'm trying to put out. I hope I'm answering the question.
No, you're not answering.
Yeah, so
I'm just messing with you.
So that's important, man. I don't go nowhere empty-handed, man. Like if you go somewhere, at least have a business card. Have a business card.
Right.
Network. Go with the intention of networking and building yourself. Stop just going places, man, and just going to kick it and have fun. Everywhere you go, if you're an artist, everywhere you go, whether it's a grocery store or to the club, you are working. You shouldn't be doing it for leisure. Like my wife and I, we travel the country, everywhere. We be everywhere. But we ain't just going to kick it. We always going with the mindset of working and growing and exposing our brand to somebody else. So our brand can continue growing.
I like that.
Yeah, so we always putting out something to the world, always working, always grinding.
So tell me a little bit more about the House of. I've heard you talk about the House of Art.
Yeah.
But tell me where it is. Tell me what y'all do. Give me a little background on how the whole thing came about.
So the House of Art is located downtown North Little Rock on 4th and Main. It came about, because we needed a platform. I was tired of renting people's venues and having to be out by a certain time, or just them not, or the venue just not respecting the arts. And we put money in that venue.
Okay.
So I decided, man, we needed a space for the artists. So I opened the House of Art. Actually, I started out in the KBF radio station building. On the same floor as them. So the same people they were renting from, we were renting from.
Okay.
So we had a little space on the other side of the building, upstairs, in that house. And we started out there. I was there for maybe 3 or 4 months. Then I was contacted by a realtor, Mr. Navos, in Argentina, and we found out about a building. We got that building, and we moved to Argentina March 2015. So we've been in existence almost 5 years. We opened up November 2014. But yeah, that's how I came about, man. I started it with my own money. I threw about 4 or 5 fundraising events though to raise some more money to make it all happen. I got a grant from Alternate Roots that's based in Atlanta. So they gave me money to start a project here in Arkansas, Alternate Roots, and I still work with them. So that's how the House of Art began, man. All by myself. I didn't necessarily have a team at that point. To be honest, man, the team didn't come about until I opened that thing up and I showed proof of concept. Because to be honest, my friends will tell you, I pitched this to them. Pitched the House of Art to my team, to people that were in my circle. I'll say that, not necessarily my team at that time, but people who were in my circle. I pitched the House of Art to them, and nobody really jumped on it. But I jumped on it on my own, man, and We opened that thing up. We made it happen. I went and got hardwood plates from the what you call it, the restore store.
Yeah.
And I was putting down them hardwood plates by myself. I was painting the walls. Then some kids from the community came in and helped me. From Malin Martin Apartments that was right next to KBL. Man, we was in there painting that thing. We was in there cleaning. And the House of Arcane. And it's still going almost 5 years. It ain't been easy. It ain't been, every Friday night ain't packed out. And every Friday night we got a poetry open mic, music, comedy. And rather we got 5 people in the audience or 55. It still goes down. Rains through the snow. Every Friday, 8 p.m. Doors open, starts at 9. And I'm actually hosting tonight. So this will be my last Friday in Little Rock for a little while. I'll be traveling the country all summer long.
Okay.
I'm gonna charge you for that plug.
I got you. I'm gonna cash up.
There you go. Hey, I got cash app. It works.
Cash up,
It works too.
I like that.
So when you talk about money, and certainly now you are making some money doing what you love, and I think everybody would want to be able to make money doing what they love.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit more about that journey. What are some of the things you had to do before you started raking in that cash?
Oh man, that's a good question, because a lot of cats have came on the scene as an artist and as a poet and expect to have the type of success or recognition that I had just starting out, right? And it wasn't that for me. As they say, man, in a gang or on any level of the world, or in any profession, you gotta earn your stripes.
Right.
And for me, that's what it was. I put in a lot of work. I put in a lot of consistency, and I consistently showed my face. I consistently showed and improved as an artist, and I
Did you do free stuff?
Yes, I did a lot of free stuff in the beginning, and I still do free stuff. If it makes sense. And I challenge artists. I tell artists that too. Like, it may be an event, with 500 people that's gonna be there. They may be asking you to do it for free, right? But you have to ask yourself, man, if I'm gonna do it for free, how can it benefit me? Can I still sell my product? Can I sell my shirts and my books? Or who's going to be in the room? Is it potential new clients that have budgets that can pay me next time if I come and show out at this event, right? So a lot of cats are like, man, I ain't doing nothing for free, blase, but I still do stuff for free.
Before they miss that.
And then I still do gigs for $3,000 and $5,000 too. But I still do those free gigs, right?
Here's why I brought that up.
Okay.
Because I think that's important, and I find that particularly a lot of artists, the best benefit that you can have, in my opinion, and I've been in the radio business for 35 years, the best benefit you can have is people seeing your skill.
Yeah.
Just like me, I sell a barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
The best benefit I have is people seeing that sauce out somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay? Dr. Rosie Milligan said something to me years ago when I first got into motivational business.
Yeah.
When I was bringing her to Nashville, I told her, I said, Dr. Rosie, I can't afford to pay you.
Yeah.
Okay? She said, that's okay. Tell you what you do. I'm going to sell my books to you at wholesale. Okay?
Yeah.
And at the event, you're going to sell tickets, right?
Yeah.
And while you're at the event, you're also going to sell my books.
Yeah.
So all I need you to do is fly me there.
Yeah.
I'll take care of the room and board.
Yeah.
You'll be able to take care of my fee by selling my book. So, and believe it or not, I was able to take care of her fee and put $1,500 in my pocket for the organization.
There you go.
Okay.
Amen.
So here's the point: is that quite often when we do stuff, entrepreneurs, it's called the return, the ROI. What's the internal return on my investment?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I'm gonna do it for free, like you said, can I sell my books?
Yeah.
Like now, when people invite me to speak, and they say, "Well, I could only pay you $100." I've learned that you don't ever turn down money. Number one.
I'll leave no money on the table.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I said, but I'll tell you what you do. Can I sell my products at your event?
Yeah.
And every one of them, to a man, woman, will say yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's why I asked you that question, because I think we as number one black entrepreneurs, particularly when we have a potable product, or artists, think, like you said, man, I ain't doing nothing for free.
Yeah.
I'm too good for this. You don't realize that who potentially could be sitting in the audience.
Exactly.
Who could take you to the next level.
Yeah. But also, there are artists who demand to be paid. So you asked me a question before I got into that. As far as how I got here or whatever. I showed proof of concept, right? I showed proof consistently that I was dope, right? That I was gonna make your show, I was gonna take your show to the next level, or your classroom, or whatever capacity I was working in. I showed consistently that I could put on a dope stage play, right? Or whatever. I showed all these things consistently, and I had proof of concept before I started demanding what I am now able to demand. And I did that consistently for years. Right, I didn't come out the game. I didn't come into the game saying I'm a poet and you gotta pay me just because I'm a poet. Right? There's cats who jump into the game who demand certain things when they haven't showed proof of concept that they can bring out a crowd. Right? Because if you can't bring me a crowd, why would I pay you $200 if only 3 people coming to see you and you want one of them to come in free with you?
Right.
So you only making my show, my $5. If I'm charging $10, I'm only making $20, and you want me to pay you $100, I'm losing money. Right? So I showed proof of concept, and I did that consistently. Right? And there it is. So artists have to do that as well. You have to show proof of concept that you are of value as an artist, and we're all of value,
I get that.
per
I know
se,
what you're saying,
but also on the other end of the business end, being a person who puts on shows, who books people, I have to think about it from a business step too. Like if you can't make my event money or raise the quality of my event by a lot of notches, you can't get paid, right? And that's just what it is. So just showing proof of concept that you deserve to be paid. And that's just what it is, man. So that's a sticky thing. A lot of artists don't want to be honest with themselves, man, about the level of artists that they are, right? You may, in your mind, you may be dope, but you need to really look at who around you and ask yourself, do I have the level of talent to sit at the table with Chris James or with a Drika or with a Big Piff, who's killing the rap game around the world right now? Or Bijou, or just all these dope cats who are really like killing the game, who are getting paid good money. Rodney Block, like, do you deserve to sit at the table with cats like that? If not, you can't. I mean, I ain't gonna say you can't, but you probably shouldn't be requesting.
Or you should readjust your perspective.
You should readjust.
Man, I'm just as good as Chris James. I'm just as good as him.
I think the scary thing about anything in life, man, always, what's really scary about that is that whole part of being honest with yourself about where you are. Because not everybody can do that. I mean, and to Chris's point, as an advocate, I remember when I was in Little Rock, and my lens only gave me the perspective and the vision of Little Rock. I was kind of ignorant to some degree. And I'll be honest about that. I was ignorant because my views were based on 16 blocks, right? But the great thing about traveling the country and going to different things, Congressional Black Caucus, going to these Democratic events in different parts of the state, different parts of the country, kind of opened my eyes to things that I had never even thought about before, right? And so that's why I say it's really important to be honest with yourself, because after these trips to DC and different places, it made me be honest with myself about what kind of advocate was I, right? And when I realized I wasn't a very good one, it made me do the necessary work to be better.
The due diligence.
Yeah, but you got to be honest with yourself though to get there, and I think that's in anything. Being honest with who you are and where you are, and then trying to identify a way to get to where you want to go, because I think that's important. And Chris has done that.
Yeah, and certainly. You mentioned Rodney Block. You mentioned Bijou. Certainly there are others that I've met since I've been back. And when I first heard Rodney Block, I would tell people, I said, y'all don't know what y'all have.
Oh yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And people would look at me like, who the hell are you?
Yeah.
Now, I spent 15 years in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Around country music artists, things of that nature. Lived in Memphis for 10 years. A lot of music, blues, all that stuff.
Yeah.
When I heard Rodney Block for the first time, I was like, oh my God, he's not from Little Rock.
Yeah.
That guy can't be from Little Rock.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Then I went up and met him. I said, hey, man, what's happening? I said, where you from? He said, from Little Rock. And I told him that night, and Rodney has been on the show, and we're going to get him on the show again. I told him, I said, man, you are a New York-style talent in Little Rock, Arkansas. And I don't think the people of Little Rock recognize that. I say that because I've heard other artists as well. I am shocked that this city doesn't have a venue where they can perform on a regular basis. What's up with that? I mean, I know we've got the House of Art.
Yeah.
But, you know, when I left there, we had the Afterthought where you could go and perform.
Yeah.
That's no longer here.
Yeah.
But I think it does a disservice to the art crowd when there is not a designated place where you guys can go and spit, you can go and blow your horns, whatever you need to do. I mean, what's up with that?
Yeah, man, I feel like, man, you know, I mean, we all know, it ain't what I feel, because feel is an emotional statement. But I think, and I know that Arkansas, as far as a creative market, we're just behind. We're behind, you know, and as simple as that. You know, those who are influencers when it comes, you know, to economics, you know, don't see the value of arts. They don't see that, you know, the bigger cities have seen it. They see how much arts can increase the economic value and it just that their whole city. They seen how much arts can bring to their city. You know, so they invest into their arts. They create grants for artists to do murals. You know, and just you know, just whatever. You know, but Arkansas is just behind, man. You know, we behind. And that's just the reality.
That's the truth.
We're behind when it comes to the arts. And but also, man, we don't even the people in Arkansas, man, we're just again, the people are behind too, and we don't see the value in our arts. Like just like you said, some people don't see the value in a Rodney Block, who's a huge deal. Right? That's true. You know, like let's say I may put on a $100 show, you know, a $50 show, or I may sell a piece of art in my art gallery that's $1,000. The average person in Arkansas, in Little Rock, will come $1,000 for a piece of art, right? That's crazy to them. That's beyond it because so many people here don't see the value in the arts. That's just what it is, man.
I think for us, man, for us as black people specifically, we haven't been exposed to that, right? I mean, I think people who are artistic are somewhat, they're kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? They're kind of like
crazy?
No, they're kind of like unicorns. Because black folk, we don't always get exposed to art. Now, I'm going to tell you something really interesting. I love poetry, right? I watch it on TV. Never seen it live in Little Rock, though.
Oh, man.
I've seen it live in New Orleans. Seen it live in Atlanta. Never seen it live in Little Rock. But I am tonight. I'm coming over and check you out. But my point is that it's just that we're not exposed to it, man.
Yeah.
And nobody exposes us to it. And it's kind of like anything else in the black community. We don't get the exposure. So I think what he's doing in schools is great because it's giving kids the exposure.
I think it's based on the cities, no doubt about that, because some cities do expose it.
Well, I mean, even if the city of Little Rock offered it, you still have to have black kids who want it.
Well, here's the other thing
because they wouldn't know.
But I think cities have got to lead on art as well. And what I mean by that, so for instance, I hate to keep using Nashville as a reference, but the Skirmahorn Music Center was designed specifically for art. They spent, I want to say, $70-80 million on this facility. Now check this out. It flooded. 2010, it flooded, was underwater. The debate was whether or not they were going to rebuild it. It wasn't a debate. Yes, you're going to rebuild the Skirmahorn. You know. So, in other words, you had city leaders leading.
Well, you have to remember
with art.
You have to remember now, the city of Little Rock has made investment in the arts, albeit minor. They have made some investment, right? So everything on the corner right there, 12th and Daisy Bates, is to some degree their investment in the arts. That's it. If you go around, you may see a couple of murals. I know that Patrick Oliver was instrumental in getting him to give him some money to do a mural. Now the thing is that there's not enough of that. That should change. But again, the city has made a minor investment in the arts. But again, it's about having people on the board who have an appreciation for art.
Good point.
Because what you learn is, Joan Adcock is an avid dog lover or animal lover. That's all she talks about is the animal village, right? So now you have a animal village. And every time you look up, they're doing something that has something to do with dogs. Pretty soon you have to identify somebody who has an eye for art, who could also be a part of the whole conversation for the arts, right? By way of the city.
Yeah. But so in response to that, I ain't too much into the politics, but I do know that Frank Scott, our new mayor, he does have a creative art committee. And I do know Ron Mack is on that. Ron Mack,
right.
I know Krista Mercer is on that.
Right.
And a few other people. So I'm not sure exactly what's happening in the inside on that level. But I do know there is a committee now that's doing things as far as the arts.
Yeah. I've been driving around the city and seeing signs: math camp, English camp, writing camp, all kinds of camp. And I was just wondering, where are the art camps?
But again, like I said, it's really about exposure. And again, most black kids don't get exposed to the arts.
So that reminds me, now that we're talking about that. So you said you got a grant at one point to pursue arts here in Arkansas. Do you? So if there's an artist out there, and really I don't see that you need to be an artist. I just think you need to love art. If there's an artist out there who would want to see art being pursued more here in Little Rock, do you help them set up? Because you had to have a 501c to get that grant, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Do you assist in helping people set up those 501c3s and so that if I'm a person who wants to pursue art and get grants for arts, can you assist a person in doing that?
So what I've done as far as assisting artists through my 501c3, I've allowed artists to use our 501c3 to apply for certain grants.
Oh, great! Great.
I've partnered with people in the community and allowed the Roots Art Connection, my nonprofit 501c3, to be the lead in that grant application. But I've also, people have come to me who wanted to start a 501c3, and I've allowed them to see what our application looked like, so they can kind of curate theirs. But I'm not necessarily someone who knows how to coach someone to create their own 501c3, because I actually hired somebody years ago, Krista McDaniel, to help to do my entire application when I started my 501c3. And she kind of walked me through that whole process of creating the bylaw.
Right.
Well, she did all that for me years ago in 2012, and we became a 501c3 in 2013. But yeah, and we help a lot of artists. Me personally, I help a lot of artists. But honestly, you can't help everybody, because time is limited and time is of value. Which is why I do the creative career coaching. So I am for hire, for artists, if they need help. But yeah, we definitely do as much as we can for artists. And the same thing with the House of Art. The House of Art is a project under our nonprofit, the Roots Art Connection. So through that space, we attempt to help artists to have a platform to do their thing as an artist, and that venue does come at a price for artists, and for certain artists who don't have funds, we do commissions, and we may do a door split with an artist if you can, and we've done that for dozens of artists in our city. So we definitely do as much as we can through that 501c3 for artists.
Great, fantastic. Before we let you get out of here, we got to get to this big list. Okay. But tonight, again, at the House of Art, Chris James is back in town. Give us the who, so, what, therefore art thou.
Okay. There's some folks going in on this Facebook Live. Legina Bearden does definitely have the Bearden Art Production.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
she sure does.
So that's something dope that does exist for kids. and young creatives that's consistent in our city, man. It's a lot of dope folks doing dope stuff. You know, Ron McNeil with the Righteous.
Oh yeah,
Dope.
we've had Rod on the show. Yeah.
You know, a lot of dope folks doing a lot of dope things. You know, Oya, the walking poet, doing her thing.
Well, Oya, as a matter of fact, I emceed the Lupus Foundation of Arkansas Talent Show.
She won it, right?
She won it.
Yeah,
and she didn't think she would win it, and I said, Oya, you need to get in this talent show.
Yeah. She's
She still hadn't taken me to lunch though.
She owes us money. She owes us some food.
Show you a kickback, right?
$1,000.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
she's really good.
Yeah, she is.
She's
dope.
good.
One of the dopest young talent
Yeah.
artists coming up out here right now. So you asked me what's the who's who?
Yeah.
What's going on
Tonight at the House of Art.
So tonight, man, at the House of Art, 8 p.m. We have a dope show happening. I'll be hosting. At the House of Art, 8 p.m. It's an open mic. Come out. But what's coming up that's bigger than anything is my wife, Drika Wrights, has her first poetry book coming out. It's called 17 Mirrors. So follow me, Chris James Journey, on social media, or Drika, DREKKIA. And follow her, man. Follow me. Again, we got a lot of dope stuff happening all summer long and leading up into 2020. We, the Roots Art Connection, my nonprofit, is partnering with the University of Arkansas Pulaski Technical College, and we're bringing the first of its kind to the state. We're bringing the Arkansas Theater Festival, March 5th through 7th, 2020, and we'll be bringing for 3 days stage plays, theater workshops, how to audition, how to get gigs in the theater world.
Okay.
So a lot of dope stuff happening. Follow Chris James.
So look, since you bring that up, so I've lived in a lot of other cities who have these types of events. So will you have things for screenplays and screenwriting and things of that nature, or is that something coming down the line?
Screenwriting, no. So my thing is theater. So for stage plays, I've only recently transitioned to the screenplay writing world. So again, I directed my first stage play, my first film in March in Atlanta.
Okay.
And it's called 30, and I just got it back from my editor 2 nights ago, actually. So I'll be doing a small premiere for that here locally, but it'll be more involved in the film festival. So I'm going to be doing a lot of.
So this will mainly be films at the film festival?
No, at the festival that I'm doing, it's going to be a theater festival.
Theater festival.
So it'll be stage plays happening.
Okay.
So we will be doing workshops that deal with theater, with the theater world, for actors who act on the stage. So not so much for screen work. So as far as the film industry, so we won't be doing that.
Is there anything for that in the future?
But not that I'll be doing, but I actually mentioned that to. I'm not sure if you guys follow Angela Burt, one of the dopest young women out here doing her thing. The wife of Mr. Wayne,
Brother Wayne,
Brother Wayne, with the Respect for Life,
Respect for Life, right?
88.3. So she actually used to have a film festival, and she's done it at different venues. The last one I attended was years ago at Philander Smith College. It was for a whole weekend, and and it was a platform for African American filmmakers to produce their work. And I saw her at Hearn's Art Gallery the other day at Pyramid, and I asked her, I'm like, "When are you gonna do it?" And she's like, I don't know. But that's something that existed years ago that we should be reaching out to her and helping her to make that happen. Because I need a festival to present my film at in Arkansas. We got the Bentonville Film Festival.
I got a screenplay.
So Angela Burt, again, reach out to her on Facebook and or wherever, and tell her to bring that back, because that's a major platform that should be still in existence in Little Rock. We the capital city. So it's a lot happening. So again, the Bentonville Film Festival just happened in Bentonville.
That's
and
why
that was huge.
Question.
My wife was there because she worked on a film in Atlanta that she went there to watch and work with the producers or whatever. And there was a lot of celebrities there. The creator of a lot of major shows was there. So it was a lot of celebrities in that space in Bentonville, in Northwest Arkansas. We should have that same type of prestigious types of events happening right here in our capital city. So screenplays. Hopefully Angela Burt brings that back.
I will reach out and holler at her. Hey Chris, thanks for coming by. Look, anytime
Stick around, man. Stick around.
You need to come by, holler at us. Let me know. I think we are friends on Facebook. If not, we will become friends. But again, I am big on the arts. I think it's another avenue for black people, young black men and women, to get involved in to keep them out of the streets, believe it or not. You know, so there are all types of things that we can do to assist our young black girls and boys to be better than what they are, other than just hanging out on the corner.
For sure.
You know, and the arts is certainly one of those. And you'd be shocked sometimes how artful some of these young brothers are, who have just never had the platform,
for sure,
to really get out there and present themselves.
Man, every black person is creative.
Yeah,
you know, I'll just say that. You know, and every every black boy, girl, boy, don't want to play sports. So,
I agree.
You know, so we got to expose them to the arts, man.
Expose them to as much as possible.
But the arts also helps young people to get more intact with their intellectual selves.
I agree.
Because it challenges them to be more creative, and it gives them a platform to creatively solve and to creatively just exist. So we need the art. So thank y'all for having me on.
Yeah, hang around though, man. Hang around. Don't get out of here yet. Man. Don't get out.
All right, so Monique Antoinette likes Black Focus Radio. Appreciate that, Monique.
Who?
Okay. Not that Antoinette, Marie Antoinette, not the lady who said let them eat.
I said Monique. You said no Nique is somebody, right?
I said Monique.
Okay, cool. All right, gotcha.
But all right, so we've come to the segment that we do every Friday where we talk about books that I've read. And, you know, quite often as I've traveled around the country and I speak and I do the things that I do, people will always ask me, well, how did you learn so much? Where did you get your information from? How did you get to the point in your life where you are today?
How did you learn them things?
And as I've told people over and over again, when I went on my journey for religious affirmation, looking for Christianity, I found Islam, I found Buddhism, I found a lot of different things and realized that they're all tied into one another. And that's what helped me on the journey. And that's where I am today. So a couple of books, there's about 25 books on there. We went through a few of them. We talked a lot about Dr. Rudolph Windsor and the Valley of the Dry Bones, and From Babylon to Timbuktu. I certainly recommend those books. But the two books I want to talk about today is by Reverend Walter McCrae and Dr. Ivan Van Sertima. The first book is called The Black Presence in the Bible, Volumes 1 and Volumes 2. And I'll just read the caption of what I wrote. Both volumes are a must for the historian and biblical scholar. Each volume addresses the lineage and history of Hamitic and Semitic peoples and their evolution. If there is any doubt to who the people are in the Bible, then this book will quell all that doubt. A must read and have for anyone who is serious about Christianity. Now, why this book is important, because this is written by a pastor, a reverend. He has a doctorate, okay? And he goes down and breaks in what he calls the extrinsic and the intrinsic identification of black people.
Okay.
And it is easy to read. It is a great book. Quite often when you talk about the origin of Africa, many Christians get upset because they think you're talking against Christianity. Well, unfortunately, there was a world 6,000 years before Christianity was ever created. Dr. McCrae talks about that world.
Okay.
He talks about the people of Ham. He talks about the curse of Ham that white people created, that said Ham was cursed with black skin, when in fact all the people of that time had black skin. That was just something that was created. So it is a great, great book. In fact, it's two books, Volumes 1 and Volumes 2. I advise you to check out that book. The other book is one of my favorites, a very easy read. I talk about Dr. Ivan Van Sertima quite often. It's called They Came Before Columbus. Let me say that again. They Came Before Columbus. It was in this book that I learned about that indigenous African bean pod that is indigenous to the continent of Africa, but somehow or another, it ended up in South America. Did it float across the ocean on the waves, or did someone bring it? And that's where you begin to talk about the king of Mali, Abu Bakari, who relinquished his throne to sail out into the ocean to the unbeknownst. Many people believe that it was Abu Bakari who emerged out of the ocean in South America, and it was he who South Americans, those native South Americans, then deemed a god. and there are pictures of Abu Bakari in many of the hieroglyphics in ancient South America.
Yeah, I got a cousin looks just like him.
You do?
Yeah.
Does he have the money?
Nah, that had
Because you know, if Abu Bakari lived today, he would be considered the richest man in the world.
Man in the world, yeah.
Okay, so the king of Mali, I've read that story oftentimes. In fact, they came before Columbus is where I got that story from. Okay. The book examines the travels of ancient Africans to the Americas long before Christopher Columbus was a gleam in his daddy's eye. This text counters the misinformation given about the discovery of Americas and who the initial dwellers were. Pay particular attention to the king of Mali and why he denounced his throne. Also in this book, and if you're looking at this book, the cover of this book has a picture of the Olmec heads. Now, you may not know what the Olmec heads are, but you've seen the Olmec heads.
Yeah.
These are the giant sculptures of black faces that litter the entire Central America and African American, and Southern American continents.
Right.
And they are pictures of black people. They are just now discovering that those heads have bodies to them as well, because they began to excavate them. But the question was asked, why would a people create a statue of someone who doesn't look like them? The real question should be asked is, why are these people looking like black people? Because those people were indigenous black people to those areas. So those two books, The Black Presence in the Bible and They Came Before Columbus, and I'm going to tell you folks, it's not very thick reading. It doesn't get into a lot of jargon and stuff like that. Those two books are very easily read. Dr. McCrae, as a matter of fact, gives you biblical references about those books. As a matter of fact, the book before, Dr. Rudolph Windsor talks about the 5 curses that black people received from God. They are the only ethnic group in the Bible that have experienced all 5 of those curses. So and by the way, it's the Old Testament. So if you believe in Christianity, then you have to ask the question, who other than black people have experienced those five curses in the Old Testament? So those are the books.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's
so
do it, baby.
Just quickly, we got a few minutes to go. Let me just tell you what you've missed. The United States Constitution. I told you why you have to read the Constitution. You live in a country. It's almost like, putting together a model plane and not reading the directions.
Right.
You got to understand the laws by which you are governed if you're going to be successful in America. I argue that part of the problem that black people aren't successful in America is because we don't understand that Constitution of the United States, okay? The Holy Bible, the African American Heritage Edition, this Bible is written from an African American's, and by the way, it was produced back in the, 1987. It is no longer being published. There are a few black bookstores that you can get this Bible from, but it's the King James Version. But the great thing about this Bible is that you can go and he references every black person, intrinsic and extrinsic, that's in the Bible. And he covers the roots. It goes all the way back to Ham. It is the best Bible out there if you want to learn who those people really are in the Bible.
Cool.
The Holy Quran, you cannot do history and research without reading religious books. The Quran and the Bible are considered by many archaeologists as historical reference books as well as religious books. So you must read the Quran and you'll understand, wow, that's some of the same stuff that's in the Bible.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay? $40 Million Slave.
Best book ever.
That is one of the greatest books out there about professional athletes who think that they've arrived, but they're nothing more than slaves. Okay. Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson. We are going to have Dr. Claude Anderson on the show in the next couple of weeks.
We're bringing him back.
We're gonna have Dr. Anderson on at least once a month.
Oh, really?
We've got
That's
Dr.
right,
Rosima on once a month. We'll start getting Dr. Anderson on once a month. And because Dr. Anderson is the only black economist who has put together a program that will benefit black people and raise us out of the economic deprivation that we're in. The only key is that we've got to be willing to follow it. So we're going to be talking about that and talking about him. Of course, we've talked about the Black History Reader, 101 Questions You Never Asked. That's also by Dr. Anderson as well. The Miseducation of the Negro by Dr. Carter G. Woodson. Look,
My favorite book ever.
if you don't read anything else,
You gotta read
You
that
got to
one.
read that book.
You are free, but you're economically enslaved.
You just don't know. The ISIS Papers, my other hero, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. Look, and let me just tell you that I argue that symbolism affects you more than outward things.
Yeah.
Because that affects your subconscious.
Yeah.
And Dr. Welsing was the first to talk about white genetic annihilation. Dr. Welsing was the first to talk about 2042.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So I
That's
didn't know
what
that.
she coined white genetic annihilation.
Okay, got you.
Okay?
I'm gonna have to read that. 'Cause
So
I haven't read.
go read the book. She talks about the games we play. The games that we play directly affect how we feel about ourselves subconsciously. And I asked the question,
Okay.
check this out. Why is it all the games that we play with brown balls, you have to possess them? And all the games that we play with white balls, you have to hit them, kick them, or knock them as far away from you as you can. Think about that.
That's deep.
That's some
That is
deep stuff right
That is
there,
deep.
bro. You get that, right?
Yeah, that is deep.
And she also asked the question, why did white people during the 40s and 50s, when they hung black men, why did they castrate them and keep their genitals in downstairs? It all deals with white genetic annihilation. It's a deep
Deep.
book.
So let me ask you this before
Okay.
we get out. Where can I get these books at?
You can get them online. You probably can get some of them over at
Barnes and Noble.
at Pyramid Book.
Pyramid Books. My bad.
In
Pyramid
fact,
Gallery.
if she doesn't have them, I'm sure she'll be able to order them. Okay.
All right, cool,
So
cool.
before you go to Barnes and Noble, take some of the money over there to that sister.
That's what's
Okay.
up. That's what's up.
A couple others from Babylon to Timbuktu. We reference those and the Valley of the Dry Bones. I will just tell you this: the Valley of the Dry Bones. That was the first book where I actually saw black Jews.
Really?
They're called Philoshes.
Really? I thought they were called Sammy Davis Jr.
Well, I saw him too, but many people didn't believe he was Jewish. He was Jewish. But
Yeah.
this is the first book where Dr. Windsor publishes pictures of the original Jews who were black.
That's what's up.
That'll blow your mind.
That's what's
okay. And of course, they came before Columbus. Next week, we'll talk about the myths of ancient Egypt by Sheikh Anta Diop and some other things as well. So, hey, that's the show, bro. You know, I want to thank Chris James for coming in. I also want to thank Cliff May for setting up the interview with Chris James as well.
Way to go, Cliff.
Our goal is to build this show not just locally but nationally as
blowing
well.
up, man.
So we will be getting local artists. Look, if you out there and you got something to say, you know what we do here on Black Focus. We're not here to play. We're here about empowering our people to succeed. Whether it's business, whether it's in arts, we can do it if we just simply decide to do it. The question is, when are you going to wake up and decide to do it?
That's what's up.
That's all what it's all about, okay? 855-525-5683 is the number. We got to get out of here. Robert, you got a quote?
Yeah, I do always, baby. Hey, spend money on your own community. If you don't, nobody else will. Peace.
One other quick note. Will we please stop using our black children as props to promote good cop propaganda? Y'all have a great day.
That brother cold. So you say you got a nonprofit, right?
Yeah.
Really? So what do y'all do with kids?
Mostly what I do in the school.
So you don't do anything at the House of Art with kids?
Well, 2 weekends ago we just did the free cooking class for the youth.
Okay.
So we had a celebrity
Join
chef
us every Monday
come in
at
and teach
1 p.m. on Joint Radio.
we've done poetry. We've done like poetry writing workshops, but it's nothing like that we do like on a consistent schedule at the House of Art. Yeah.